welcome back. My next guest's voice will be very familiar to you, but today we have him live in the studio. You're going to see his face also. He's the DJ on Power 106, and his name is Joe Servantez.
It's
nice
me.
to
Hi.
see you. Actually,
Nice
this is very
too.
formal. I mean, we have met before.
A couple of
Haven't
times.
we? A couple of times.
Yeah, we worked together.
We worked together. We sure
did
did.
a little TV thing that was going to be a dance show that never got off the ground, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, but I mean, you are so busy, I can never reach you. You are traveling, and tell me some of the things you've been doing.
No rest for the wicked, I guess. I do so many personal appearances. I'm always somewhere. Thursday nights, I'm at the different Peppers, one in Artesia, one in Industry. Friday night, I'm doing C.J. Barrymore's nightclub in El Segundo. Saturday night, it's a Premier nightclub in Pasadena. And I just found out that I'm going to be working for El Torito restaurants on Tuesday nights. And they're going to have a quesadilla eating contest, and those will just be all over Southern California. So
with these little promotions, are you promoting the station?
It's kind of a little bit of both. Part the radio station, part the nightclub, and part myself. We kind of scratch each other's back, and it works out for everybody in the long run. Premier, we started out, I guess, I don't know when this will air, but last weekend, in 2 weeks, last weekend, they wanted 250 people inside of their nightclub. That's what they were expecting to draw. They ended up having 450 people. This past weekend, they went up to 569 people by
because
12 o'clock.
The association with
the radio station, and my name, a nice club draw. A lot of people that I spoke to, they said, well, we know that wherever you go, you're going to have a good crowd there, so we decided we'd come out and check it out. And it's all in that little niche, that little area, San Gabriel Valley and stuff, so they're pretty loyal out there and a great following. A lot of nice people.
Oh, that's
I like them. I like them real nice.
Good. Now, I introduced you as Joe Cervantes, but that's how I know you. You have another name on the radio.
The Boomer.
The Boomer.
Yeah,
now, tell me how you, I know you've heard this question a million times. Tell me how you got the name Boomer.
Well, as I end my show, when I first started out working for Power 106, I worked 9 p.m. to 1 a.m., and I would just say, yo, this is Joe saying, big boom, I'm out of here. And so my boss started calling me the Boomer from then. It just kind of stuck, and I guess probably because my voice is so deep and all the rest of that stuff. That's why.
And how long ago was that?
5 years ago. I've been working for Power 106. I've been here 5 years. I was born and raised in Kansas in a real small town. Started out on the radio station there when I was 17, and worked weekends part-time, and then gradually moved up to a full-time afternoon shift. And then from there, I went to Wichita, Kansas, and started out overnights, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., and then went through every shift there and did that for 2 years. Then went to Kansas City for 2 months, and was working 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. there at night when these guys discovered me, and kind of a Cinderella story, and now here I am.
Yeah, I mean, you make it sound A to D to B to B to D to C, and then D it happened, and I know a lot of viewers out there, I do get a lot of mail from people, when are you going to have a DJ on? I mean, we hear the voice, your talk show, have someone live, you know, in person, because a lot of people, it's kind of a mystique. People want to know also what DJs look like, but they want to know, how do I get on the radio? Do I have to go to school? Because I'm sure you've heard, and I'm not going to mention any names, but a few companies that will promo, come to our school, and you'll have your own radio show, you'll have your own radio spot, and they're not really highly recognized in the business.
No.
So I do hear a lot of that. How do I get into radio?
I think some of the schools, I mean, I think they mean well, and, you know, more power to them, but being a disc jockey, kind of like yourself, either you have it or you don't. It's like being a professional basketball player. Either you have it or you don't. When I was in high school, I took one radio class, and I got a D- in it. And I asked my teacher, how do you go about becoming a... Yeah, I said, how do you become a disc jockey? He says, well, you don't make D-minuses, and now he's making donuts in Colorado. So it's just right place, right time, you know, a little bit of talent. You have to have the wit, and the voice helps, you know, so it's a package deal, I guess, basically.
And persistence, I would imagine.
Definitely a lot of persistence, because it's, when you're starting out, there's so many hours, you just got to work your butt off, basically. And then, like I said, with the personal appearances, I'm only on the radio 4 hours a day. But when I go to the nightclubs, there's travel time. You know, you have to have time to get ready, and that once you're there, you're usually there for a couple of hours at least, and then you try to give a little good faith and maybe stay an extra 15, 20, 30 minutes to sign autographs. So it's a big business, and there's a lot of work to it, and it takes a lot of dedication. But I think if you stick to your guns, it'll eventually pay off, and I know it's sure paid off with me, coming from a real small town of only 16,000 people.
In Kansas,
right there in the middle of nowhere,
you wouldn't think. What's your heritage? I wouldn't...
I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican-American.
Okay.
A lot of people always find it hard to believe that there's a predominance of Hispanics in that southwest corner of Kansas, but there was a lot of them that moved there back in the 40s, and they stayed and had children, and so.
Did you have to change an accent because you don't have one? You know,
never had an accent.
Never had an accent.
My parents were born in Kansas. I was born in Kansas, so they've always been fluent in English. About the only time they spoke Spanish is when they didn't want us kids to know what we were talking about, what they were talking about when we were growing up. Yeah, but we all know Spanish now. My sisters are fluent, and I'm fluent, and my parents, you know, speak Spanish to us once in a while.
Must help you in Southern California.
Oh, definitely. I think, especially out here, I think it's good to know as many languages as possible, but especially in SoCal, because there's such a predominance of Hispanics out here. All different types of Hispanics. You have your Ecuadorians, your Cubans, El Salvadorians, your Mexicans, Spanish. So
it's a good language to know here, especially. Do people come up to you in the clubs, especially when you're doing promotions, and kind of say, oh, you don't look like what you sound like?
Especially now.
Well, can we say it? Joe just cut his hair off. When I met him, you had, how long was your hair?
About down the middle of my back.
Yeah.
I've had long hair since I was 12. And
you finally cut it off?
I've been thinking about it for 8 months, and I told my hairdresser do it, and he knew exactly what I was talking about. And it's kind of funny because people will look at me. I was talking to a couple of girls one night, and they were standing there. We're just having like a normal conversation, and then they looked at me, and they looked at me again. They go, "Oh, you're Joe Servantez." So we didn't recognize you without your hair, but I guess it was more or less a trademark.
Now when they see you, it was the hair. Now it's without the hair. Do you ever have people that don't know who you are and are talking to you and recognize the voice, or, gee, your voice sounds familiar?
Once in a great while, my wife and I were at this restaurant in Burbank one time, and there were big partitioned off booths, and so I was talking to the waiter, and evidently there was somebody next to us in the booth that they couldn't see us, and the waiter comes up, he says, "There's this kid over there that says he recognizes your voice, that he swears to God you're Joe Cervantes." And once in a while I'll get recognized by voice only. To me it's a real shock. I don't quite comprehend it, but a lot of people will tell me that I sound exactly on the radio as I do in person.
You do, only faster on the radio, I noticed.
A lot faster.
You can, I mean, have you ever done speed talking?
No, I've seen that guy that's a world champion.
Yes.
I'd like to go up against him one day.
Oh yeah, you're great. Did you have to not go to school to learn that, but practice it and say, hey, I have something here, let me develop it, or was it just kind of natural?
I guess it just came naturally, because I remember when I was a kid back in Kansas, and when I used to talk on the radio, I used to kind of stutter and, you know, lose your train of thought, and I guess after doing it, you know, for 12, 13 years, it becomes second nature. It's like breathing, and you don't even think about it. And we have what we call liners, where they're all typewritten out what you're supposed to read. But you look at the liner, you memorize it, or you play on it, and then after that, everything else you make up. So. You
mean for a commercial type thing?
No, not for commercials, but they're basically to promote the radio station. If there's any contests that are coming up, or whatever, you look at it and you read it. And
yeah, I remember when I met you, we were doing some other shooting, but you had to do a commercial such as that for a dance club and whatnot, and you were just, I mean, and you had this long script, and you took it and you looked at it once, and you went, okay, I'm ready. And it was something where you had to speak really quickly, and you just went right through it, you know, so much so that I was saying, wait a minute, he's seen this before, but you had, you just took it in your hand and you knew it. That's a real gift to be able to do that.
I like it. It's a lot of fun. I've always wanted to do this since I was 5 years old, and I'm just so happy to be doing it. And especially in a city like Los Angeles. I mean, you know, one of the biggest cities in the whole world, and Power 106, one of the biggest radio stations, and a lot of other radio stations all over the country have emulated our style, and there's power stations in Phoenix and Atlanta and Las Vegas. I mean, just all over the place. So it's a definitely.
There's one in Massachusetts too, isn't
probably.
There? Yeah.
I know it's both of the stations that I worked for, one in Wichita, one in Kansas City, ended up being power stations. They're not affiliated with us, not owned by the same company, but like I say, they just wanted to emulate our style and our presentation, music, etc. So.
I love the station. It's so like power fits it. There's such an energy, you know. If you get up in the morning and you can't quite get your eyes open, you just turn on Power 106. And but I know you work in the afternoon, don't you?
3 to 7 Monday through Friday.
3
That's
to
my
7.
shifts. Afternoon drive. Actually 2 to 7 now. Extended
Those are
shifts.
great hours.
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
Get on a little early. You can establish yourself with the afternoon audience, the people that are at work, and then by the time they get off, they're still driving home, and they, like I said, they're very loyal. And
right. That's a nice time because people are driving home. Do you get a lot of phone calls? People calling you wanting to talk to you?
All day. Every day. In between 2 and 7, that's all it is phone calls. And can you play me a song? You know, what are you doing? What club are you at next? And I like listening to you, so I enjoy it.
That's nice. I know you do the club appearances, but do you ever do seminars or any type of other public appearances that we can
I've never
watch
spoke at
for?
any UCLA or anything like that. I've done a lot of anti-drug events. I was in front of about 13,000 kids at the Forum once, you know, speaking out against drugs, and do the lowrider car shows, which are all over Southern California. They feature a lot of
lowrider car shows.
A lot of custom cars that are I'm sure you see them all over Southern California. The lowered mini trucks, and they have artists that are there, and they have little mini concerts, and a lot of the kids really take a lot of pride into the cars that they work on. They spend a lot of their money on them, and I think, you know, whatever it is that you have for a hobby, whether you're an artist or a car fixer-upper, you know, more power to you. And it's probably better to be spending your money on hydraulics than, you know, drugs or anything else. Yeah.
That's a really nice thing to do.
The kids are real nice, and I'm real proud of them too.
Oh, kids must love you. I mean, people of all ages, but I can imagine at the clubs, it's like, Joe.
Yeah, you know, the 18 and over clubs are a lot of fun. The 21 and over, it's more like you and I. We can relate to each other, and we talk about, you know, events and stuff. But the smaller kids, I know I've done some speaking engagements out in East LA at some of the Catholic churches, and you know, some of the kids don't even know really who I am.
At some of the Catholic churches?
Yeah, the Catholic schools.
Oh,
you know,
the schools, so they have their dance parties?
Or they just may have like a little social gathering, or they want a speaker for the day for one of their classes, and you know, some of them don't even know who I am really, but they begin to grasp the concept because I've spoken from kindergartner through 6th grade, you know, junior high, so
Make them aware.
Yeah, they really like it, and it's exciting for them to have somebody that's in there like that.
Oh, that is, yeah.
I mean, I'm only a disc jockey. I'm not a movie star or anybody like that. But
Yes, you are. You're a star. And you know, to hear the voice and then see the person because we never see the person behind the voice.
Yeah.
You know, very few. And it's nice that you're making a lot of public appearances and getting out there. And one last question before we break and before we go, where can we see Joe coming up in the future? Where can we hear you, see you? We know Power 106 every day.
Yeah, really, it's easy just to listen to me because I always say where I'm going to be virtually every day. If there's some place that I'm going to be, just listen closely. And like I said, Thursdays is Pepper's Artesian Industry. They rotate. Friday, CJ Barrymore's in El Segundo. Saturday, Premier, Pasadena. The El Torito restaurant's probably on Tuesdays within the next few weeks. And otherwise, just listen for me because the clubs come and go, and we'll be someplace else. And you know, I don't know, I'll be at a furniture store in a couple of weeks if you want to go there.
Okay, super. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was really nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Come back. I want to say it was nice to meet your lovely wife who's in the studio with us today. Not only do we get to meet the DJ live in person, the woman behind the DJ, and your son, too.
Baby boomer.
So congratulations, and thanks for coming on. Thanks also to the audience for watching. And at the end of the show, you'll see a number and an address. Write to us, call us for a free newsletter. And until next time, my name again is Linda Latique. Don't give up your dream. Bye-bye.